All right. So Holy Spirit's saying he's talking about the springtime harvest, which is the billion soul harvest that Bob Jones and others have prophesied. Um, and it speaks of purpose, and he's just highlighting that we're at this point where we have a 5-year timeline to be prepared. And I'm not suggesting anyone go out in their own strength, just do what God leads, but be curious because we know there's going to be this shaking of sorts within about 5 years, and that God's been talking about building safe havens, building arks, which is a symbol for the safe haven, and that's how He's using us. That's He's saying be purposeful. So we need to have discernment. We need to trust Him. So, for example, if your logic is saying go out and get myself a job and earn lots of money, God might instead do what He's led me to, which is led me to a remote village. He's provided for me in other ways and has me stewarding local infrastructure. And at this point, I'm certainly not getting rich. But just be curious about His leading and how that might fit this idea of the massive shaking and 5 years of preparation for that. God's saying that He's bringing new beginnings, and sorry, he's repeating himself but changing his words to make sure I get the fullness of the meaning. He's bringing restoration, and it's heaven sent. Restoration is coming from God, and it's not coming from some man. It's not coming from some person who is filled with a righteous anger and wants to see justice. It's coming from God. We're going to see restoration that can only come from above. And He's saying it's a wedding ring covenant, and He's showing me 2 wedding rings linked. And it is, this is corporate. He's speaking of His relationship to us. We're His bride, and He's going to look out for us. He's going to protect us. He's going to provide for us. And, what you would expect of a good husband, that's what we can expect from God, and we need to stand for that. We need to stand for that. He's just showing me some of the ways a marriage can become dysfunctional if a woman doesn't have trust in her husband. She might return home to her parents and expect them to provide for her, and then she misses whatever she's meant to partner with her spouse in. And God is saying He's not that sort of a partner. Sorry, I just realized something was needing fixing there. He's not that sort of a husband. We won't need to go retreating to our parents. We won't need to go looking for another spouse. I'm not saying don't have an earthly spouse, but don't cheat on God. Don't go. He had me in Jeremiah yesterday. Don't go to other gods, for example, and the other gods might even be psychology or the government, whatever. Don't go to these other gods and God's saying they're demigods. Don't go to them for your provision. Don't go to them for your guidance. Don't go to them to see your breakthrough. Okay? If God's really highlighting this, and I feel like I'm coming in almost aggressive and judging. I'm not. It's not a judging message, but He earnestly wants you to know that He's your husband and He will provide for you. Holy Spirit, and He's going to give surprise gifts as well. He's been making me think lately how my mother had investments and she would get paid dividends, and that would be her bonus money as the housewife. Holy Spirit, and God's saying I can do better than that. He can do better than dividends. All right, He's saying mass sums. He can do mass sums. And some of you I know are called out to social media to share God's message and to equip the saints. And He's saying I can provide through that. And I feel like increasingly He's calling us out of 9-to-5 work and into personal ministry. But He's also saying, remember with Sarah, I didn't go straight into full-time ministry. He had me on YouTube for 2 years before He had me go into full-time ministry. And He's pulled me in and out of full-time ministry. Well, let's put it this way. This ministry hasn't always been full-time. It waxes and wanes. But then he has introduced other income streams, which are also ministry. So like when I did professional organising and I would touch lives through that, God would bring me in contact with the right person at the right time in the right way. And so that was ministry as well. And this is where God, it was saying for women, especially, he wants us to have multiple income streams because he can make us quieter on one and make us busier on another to bring us the right provision and bring us in touch with the right people for the right purposes. Spirit. God says, I'm going to change your perspective. And I just see someone and their head's just getting turned 90 degrees. And when they turn 90 degrees, it's almost like they're blinded by the light. And he's just making me think of that song, Future's So Bright, I've Got to Wear Shades. And he's saying, think on good things. Think on good things. He says, I am effective. I am effective. Monica, just letting you know, I hope you can hear me. I'm just recording at the moment I might put it on social media, just a corporate word at the moment. God's saying again about the springtime harvest and Holy Father. He says, I want you to know that you are blessed. And I really feel that a strong part of this message is us partnering through faith. And God authors our faith. If you feel like you need more faith, ask God to author your faith. He will do it. He will do it. Holy Spirit. He says, I want you to know that you are a good gift to humanity. And he wants to surround you with like-minded people. And he's getting serious now because he's saying, brace yourselves for impact. With this harvest of souls, it's going to be hard work. Okay, and I can tell you where I'm living at the moment, I went out into my community this week. We didn't need anybody else to get involved with the project we're doing. We have a really strong governance team, the administrative team. We have a really strong team of volunteers, and we really don't need anybody else. But God wanted us to go out and promote unity in this community and to see who wants to partner with us in what we're doing. But they're all so stuck in a fear space. They're full of anger, and it's like they were speaking a different language. I'm saying, how can we work together? And they're saying, well, we have to have this space and this space and this space. And it's like they were saying, you're not going to get what you want if it's what we want. Like totally anti and divisive. And I mentioned that we'd love to put some art up in the space that we plan to use, and one of them said, oh, that's mine, I paid for that. And it's like he was going to say, I'm going to strip it all off the walls so you can't use it, stick it in a storeroom. And I've been told, no, actually he doesn't even own it, it's an organisation that owns it. But it was just anti. And again, the reason I'm sharing this is that as we go out and do this billion soul harvest, we are a safety net. And God's playing with the words there, like safety in numbers. And I'm feeling, if you imagine a fishing net, that the way I'm seeing it is it's almost made up with people with their arms linked. I don't know how that vision works for you, but I can see the rope, a fishing net that's made of rope, but then I know that each intersection in that net is members of the Remnant with their arms linked, which makes us really, really strong. And he's saying we need to flock together and Holy Spirit, and that then we have the strength to be a safety net for others. If we don't strengthen our network, strengthen each other, if we don't come and sharpen each other and encourage and support each other in all sorts of ways, he's showing me that there can be a rupture in the safety net that we're meant to offer others. And then once there's a hole in it, that hole spreads and gets bigger. So it's really important that we connect with one another, that we love on each other, that we share our gifts, whether it is our creative gifts, our prophetic gifts, our mantles, spiritual gifts, teaching, etc. And and then financial or material, all that sort of stuff. Holy Spirit. So he's leading us. We need to start, he's saying we need to start accepting. I've been spoiled with this ministry. I've been spoiled that this is such a beautiful, safe, spiritually mature space. And I've been saying this for years. I know you guys have heard me say this for years. It's not going to be like that when we are working with this harvest of souls. It's going to be a lot of broken people who are very suspicious of anyone who wants to give freely. They won't understand that. And God's shown me that a lot of people will bite the hand that feeds them. Wow, sorry. I just realized that's exactly what's happened in the village here this week, that people have gone and caused problems for the group of us who are actually maintaining businesses, you know. Lots of older people in this village, 70 plus, and we're trying to make sure that they've got services in this village, and they're just making it harder and harder. And this is what we need to be prepared for. So he's saying, you know, brace for impact. God's going to provide for us and care for us. And I really feel that he's saying we need to keep it very distinct. The network that is Remnant, that is called and set apart at this level, and keep that separate from, now I'll have to flesh that out a bit, but keep that separate from the community that is not set apart, that is not in the way that we are, not the remnant, new Christians, new believers, or lukewarm Christians who are suddenly realizing that life's not working without Holy Spirit, etc. The people who are not in relationship with God on a daily basis, sold out to him, completely surrendered, life laid down as a living sacrifice. And so there is a need for us to walk in both spaces. And for a lot of us, it's going to be individual. We as individuals or small groups will be led to provide services and minister to a group of people who are baby Christians, and God's saying, or not Christians at all. And then we come back, and you know, this is not the only remnant network in the world. Most of the prophetic messengers out there are leading remnant networks. But coming back to this place to recharge. And I know I've shared this message over and over since 2020, but I feel like we're really on the cusp of needing that intensively, because I think that we're really starting to bring in that billion soul harvest, and it's going to bring a lot of challenges. It's going to bring a lot of challenges. God's just showing us, rolling up our sleeves, getting ready to get busy and get to work. He's just said no, new alliances, and he gave me a glimpse of, I think it was a Facebook reel that I came across, and there's some guy who, I don't know who he is. He's the new ambassador for Vegemite. I don't know how many of you know what Vegemite is, but it's like a soy byproduct of something, and it's like a brown paste, and a lot of Americans think it's chocolate spread, but it's not. It's really salty. It's like a salty soy. Oh, it's usually a byproduct of making beer or something like that. Full of vitamin B. From that perspective, it's nutritious, but I used to find that children in my care would bounce off the walls after they've had it, because vitamin B is a stimulant. But the new ambassador, so Vegemite has a new ambassador, and they've got African roots. I'm not sure whether they're African American or African Australian, if that's a thing, or, you know, I'm not really sure. Maybe a migrant. I'm not really sure. But God was highlighting this new alliance between that sports person, that sportsman, and the Vegemite company. And he's showing me that we will be forming new alliances. And he's saying, you are heaven sent. And he says, by my perspective, you will prosper. He's making me think of one of the songs on one of my YouTube channels. I think the channel was called Hope's Flight. Not sure if it's still named that or if I changed it. And it's got a number of prophetic songs on it. And it's the song where where you can see, even in the thumbnail, I think, you can see money falling from the sky, and he keeps bringing that one back to mind. All right, I feel like that is the message, so I'll end that there.